you so much for joining us. We have Chef Kristiahna. Did I get that right?
You got it right. You got it right.
Chef Kristiahna tonight, and I'm so happy that you were able to join me.
I appreciate you inviting me. This is great.
Yeah, I think we're going to have so much fun. Those who are joining us right now, if you're going to comment, if we don't get right to those questions, just know that we will. And and if you watch this on the replay, definitely leave comments. Even if you're not joining us live, we definitely want you to communicate on this video. All right, so I wanted to kind of get into how did you become a chef? What was your journey?
That's a loaded question. No.
I know. Just kind of give me bits and pieces. We'll work our way through it.
Absolutely. So I became let's start back when I was little. So I used to watch like cooking shows with my dad on the weekend. We would, he would turn it to it wasn't that many chefs on TV back then. I'm not going to tell you how old I am. That's my business. But people out there don't need to know that.
That's right.
But there weren't that many cooking shows back then. But there were a few chefs on TV and we'd watch them on Saturdays. My dad was an amazing cook. And so I always was just, thrilled with tasting all of his dishes and just seeing him love being in the kitchen so much. And my grandmother, good God, that woman could cook. Woo! And so I just, grew up around some amazing cooks, not to mention, I grew up in a military town. So my mom and dad were pastors, and, people back then, especially, they loved to invite the pastor over for dinner, and so I would get to, because we were in a military town, there was such diversity in the people that went to our church. We had, people from the Philippines and Trinidad and all of these different places. We got to go to their house for dinner, and I would taste curry and roti and, just all kind of dishes that I wouldn't normally be exposed to. So that really began my love of, like food and my interest in like learning about all these new types of cuisine. And so eventually I ended up going to culinary school many, many years ago. And so, so that resulted in me going to culinary school and then just, doing a myriad of things over the years. But that was kind of my journey where it began.
Okay. And the name of your school that you went to, you said it was
Cordon Bleu.
Cordon Bleu. Yes. I thought it was so cool because I remember my daughter, I have a daughter she's my oldest. When she was like 9, she was in love with, oh my God, I got to remember her name. Oh my gosh. Oh, Jar is going to be watching. And she's like, Mom, you can't remember her name. It's a cook that was really famous. And my daughter was in love with her. And she started getting recipes and wanted us to go to the grocery store and let her cook. And so watching her, I just knew that that's what she was going to grow up to do. But
right.
But we like cooking it in our home as well.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
So that's awesome. So you mentioned Trinidad. You said, I didn't quite hear you. When did you say that you have family in Trinidad, or you guys were just tasting different recipes from like different cultures?
Yeah. So there were people in our church from Trinidad. We had people from the Philippines, just like all different backgrounds because we were in a military town. So you just had people from all over coming there. And so we got to taste a lot of different cuisines.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how did you get started with starting your own business? I was reading about you started Platinum Desserts.
Yes. So I ended up starting that because after I got married, prior to me getting married, I was managing restaurants. And so, I was in management. And so that's a lot of hours. Like anybody who knows anything about hospitality, the restaurant industry, especially if you're in management, like it's going to be some crazy hours. And so I decided after that, and we ended up having, I ended up getting pregnant with my daughter after we got married. It was like, I can't do this anymore. Like these, 60 hours a week, like this is insane. And so it's ridiculous. And so after that is like, okay, let me just do my own thing. And so that's when I started Platinum Desserts.
Wow. I think I kind of met you during that time. I don't know how long you had been doing that. We kind of met briefly, you know, and kind of
Yes.
connected just a little bit. And I kind of got the chance to taste some of your desserts. Guys, if you guys are watching, let me tell you, I kept dreaming about those cookies. They're not just like regular cookies. They are
Shortbread, yeah.
yeah. What were they?
Yeah, they're shortbread cookies. And so literally, yeah. So literally I had a dream. God gave me a dream about these cookies.
Uh-huh.
And I know a lot of people are like, okay, God gave me ideas, whatever. No, literally God gave me an idea. I saw these cookies in a dream. So I was coming up, like a lot of my customers, you know, I've been doing cakes and pies and stuff for many, many years. Have had some wonderful customers that have just stuck with me through everything. And so a lot of them asked me for cookies. And so they're like, do you do cookies? Do you do? And I didn't realize like how I'm not a cookie person. And I didn't realize how much people love cookies. You know, I mean, I have a sister who we laugh and we used to call her a cookie monster because she loves cookies, but people love cookies. You know?
I'm one of them.
Right. People love cookies. And so, and I mean, I don't know why that just didn't in my head. I'm just like, oh, I'm making cakes and pies, but people like cookies. And so I'm like, why do we need another chocolate chip cookie? Like, so anyway, I was like, you know what? Excuse me. I was like, if you know what, if I'm going to do a cookie, I'm going to do something different. So I, excuse me, I started coming up with different ideas. And then I was like, well, you know, I'm trying different things. It wasn't working. All my ideas were like fails. And so after a while, I was like, I don't know how to do this cookie. So I just had an idea, like do a pecan pie cookie, do a sweet potato pie cookie, whatever.
Wow.
It was not working. And so I went to bed and I had a dream, saw myself in the dream doing these cookies. I got up the next day. I was like, oh my gosh, I think that's going to work. You know, I got up the next day and oh my gosh, it worked, you know? So over time,
God will give you, listen, I'm a woman myself. God has given me things. I mean, I'm a writer. I have 2 novels out already called Love and Secrets. And it's not just a good thing, it's a God thing. But literally the first book was something that kept going on in my head, the characters, the storyline, and I had to write it. So I knew it was from God because my books the motives are faith-based. Okay. They're entertainment at the same time, but I'm also ministering throughout the book. So definitely. So I do believe God will give you something, and it's our job to see that thing through and make it, you know, come alive. And you did that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That I'm telling you, God, he deals with me in my dreams. He has done that for many, many years. So when I woke up, yeah, from that dream, I just knew it was from him. And then it worked too. I was like, oh yeah, that was him.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
What would you say to people that, whether if it's cooking or not cooking, and they feel like God have given them something and they're a little bit afraid of kind of stepping out in that, what kind of tip would you kind of share with those who might be watching?
Well, you know, I was literally just talking about this the other day. You know, especially if you're a child of God, if you consider yourself a child of God and he's given you an idea, it's like, what else are we here for on this earth other than to fulfill the things that he's put on, you know, the call of God on our lives and the things that he's put on the inside of us. We all have a purpose and a plan that God has, you know, predestined for us. And so if you're not doing that, like, what else are you doing? Like, you're wasting time, you know what I'm saying? And the thing is, you know, of course, we all know you're just supposed to do it afraid. We all get afraid. We all get nervous. We all, like, that's everybody. That's, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, just do it, because, you know, my thing is at the end of my life,
wow,
I don't want regrets. Like, oh man, I should have done that. I should have tried it. You know, even if I tried and it's a fail, at least I did it, you know?
Stepped out.
Right. Now, this doesn't have anything to do with the Bible, but this always motivates me, because one day I heard, was it Michael Jackson? Yes, Michael Jackson said, he was in an interview and he said, you know, they were asking him like, what motivates you and why do you know, like, you're constantly writing and all this stuff, and how do you get these ideas? And he said, you know what, when I get an idea, I do it, because I know that if I don't, Prince, God's going to give that idea to Prince.
Wow.
I could not, I was like, what?
Yes.
Because he said it's happened before. He had an idea for a song, he didn't do it, and next thing he knows, he heard Prince do it. And he's like, I know, like nobody else gave him that because, you know what I'm saying? Like he said he got that idea, and it's not like he put it out or anything and anybody heard it. He just, next thing he knows, he didn't do it and Prince is doing it. So that always motivates me because I'm like, I don't want anything, and it has happened to me before. Mm-hmm. Things that I know God has given me to do, and the next thing you know, I see it somewhere else. We've all probably been through that, you know? Yeah. And not to say that you're not going to do anything like anybody else, because we all, I mean, that's why there's a million like hamburger places, right? There's plenty of taco places, you know what, whatever, but each one has their own unique way of doing it. And that's why I say just do it. It doesn't matter, because that's what stops a lot of people from doing it. They're like, oh, well, somebody else is already doing it. So-and-so's are, who cares? They're not you. They don't have this the you know, the same thing that you have, that spark, that special thing. They don't have that. What they have is for them. What you have is for you. And do it. Just do it anyway. It doesn't matter. Just do it. That's what I say.
I agree. I think that's so true, because I remember being 22 and I had that book idea and I didn't do it. It stayed with me for a long time. Well, let me say this. I actually wrote, I actually wrote like 4 chapters of my book. And I didn't know how to write a book. I didn't know nothing, how to get published. I just heard it just being in my head. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to go to my computer and just start typing. And 4 chapters. And then I just stopped right there. And then like years later, God was like, I gave you a gift. I gave you something and you didn't do it. You didn't complete it. So I had to pick that thing back up again. And this time I had a different mindset. So everything God has given me, I definitely am going to just step out on faith, just like this podcast. It started with me interviewing 3 ladies, and God wouldn't let me stop. He was like, nope, keep going, because this is a platform where you're going to welcome people that have a purpose, that is excited about me, excited about God. And they're going to encourage other people to walk in that purpose, walk in that business idea, or if it's going back to school or whatever it is that God has put in your heart, go ahead and do it, because you're going to hear other people who have gone through the journey and seen the fruits of their labor already manifesting. Just like with you, I noticed that you said you also created the sweet potato pie mixture.
Yes. That's right. And, you know, and that's the thing I was going to say, just off of what you said. First of all, I'm so proud of you for doing this. This is amazing, the podcast, and it's going to keep growing and it's going to keep getting better and better. I just stepping out is like the biggest step, right? And I think it's wonderful. And I was just going to say that I feel like, you know, obedience is much better than sacrifice, because we don't know, at the end of the day, we don't know who is attached to our obedience. Wow. Who needs us on the other end? Who's waiting and who's connected and who's waiting on us to step out so that they feel like, okay, if they did it, I can do it. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes people, they're just us stepping out releases them. Yes. And unlocks things for them, and where they can go ahead and step out and be obedient and be bold and know that if I see somebody that looks like me, or if I saw her do this or whatever, okay, now I feel like I can do it. Because I saw somebody else. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how many times that there's things in my life that I've wanted to do or sought to do. And what am I doing first? Looking for somebody else who's done it, to see like, what did they do? How did they get there? Yes. And sometimes that person is you. Yes. But you're not stepping out there. You know, I'm talking to people out there. You're not you, because you're stepping out there, girl. But sometimes we're not stepping out there. And we're waiting for somebody else when it's you. You need to be the first one so that somebody else can see you. Okay, that's all I have to say about that.
How can we get your sweet potato? Sweet potato.
Okay, my potato pie mix. Yes, that's something I came out with over these last holidays, which is absolutely amazing. I'm not trying to brag on myself, but it's really good for people.
I believe
who don't know how to make. Yeah, you don't know how to make a sweet potato pie. Like not everybody knows that. Like a lot of people kind of went in on me on was it on Instagram? Kind of went in on me for making this, but I was like, if you already know how to make it, it's not for you. I'm not trying to compete with your grandma's recipe, literally. This is for people who don't know how to make it, okay? And they have loved it. So anyway, you can find it on browngirlscook.com.
And you know what though? You know what? It's also, we have a lot of people that may be busy traveling.
There you go.
Work is in demand. So sometimes on holidays, that could be easy. You know,
it's so easy. It's so easy. It's fail proof. I had people test it before we did it. Hundreds and hundreds of orders went out during the holiday and everyone loved it. And I'm just grateful for that. So that's actually the first in a line of mixes that I'm coming out with. But yeah, so you can find it at browngirlscook.com.
I think that if you don't mind, like after this is over, make sure you send me the links, your website, and
Absolutely.
I can this video so people can come back and go to your website and actually, get your pies.
Wonderful.
Everybody know how to cook, but sometimes we want, depending on the circumstances, we just want a mixture. We just want to do it. Make it quick.
It's real simple and it's good. Yeah. And it's not overly nutmegged, just for y'all out there that listen. Sometimes in the stores they're a little too much nutmeg in them.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, I like you. So you the cook, you know. You can hear somebody's auntie. I don't know. I hope she's
saying.
Especially Black women, Okay. They're like, I also am excited when I saw that you were a part of the network, TBS network. Did I say that right?
Yeah, that's right. TBS
network, The Rat in the Kitchen.
That's right. Yes, I was on The Rat in the Kitchen. That was TBS's first cooking show. And I was able to be a part of that. And so it just aired last, where are we in? Oh, Lord. That aired earlier this month, I believe. No, it was last month. I'm sorry,
June?
Yeah, it was June. They changed the date so many times I can't remember, but yeah, it was June.
I saw it. I was like so excited for you. I was like, that is so cool.
Yeah, we actually taped it last year. So.
Oh, okay. What was it like?
Okay, so it was taped in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah,
we were still in the pandemic. And so it was taped in Atlanta. We had to go down there and I actually had to quarantine in the hotel for 14 days ahead of time. Mm-hmm. And then we ended up taping. I'll say it was rough. I feel like because the whole pandemic thing and the having to get tested like every couple of days, and it was mentally taxing even before we got into the kitchen. So I don't know, that was my first time being on TV. I don't know, from what I hear, it's not the standard practice, and it's not the standard thing that you would have to go through to be on a show, from some of my other people that were on the show with me, talking to them, and they've been on other shows. But so this one, it was kind of rough. I'm not going to lie. I'm glad I did it. I'm glad, because there's a lot of times I've been wanting to be on TV. Okay, I'll say that, but I didn't know it was going to come this way. But also being on there. Okay, this is what I'll say. When you're trying to manifest things, be very specific. Okay, because this was kind of not what I had envisioned, but I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I stepped out, because at one point I wouldn't have probably even taken it, because I'd be like, well, I'm embarrassed, or I'm not at the right weight to go on there, or I'm just self-conscious, or you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I'm glad I did it. Who cares? Because not everybody in this life, what percentage of people get to be on a cooking show? You know what I'm saying? They found me, they reached out to me, and I'm just grateful I had the experience. Now I know, going into the next time I do it, or the next phase or whatever, I know what to do and what not to do or whatever. So I just use it as a learning experience. And actually I met some great people out of the experience.
So. That you, it's amazing you mentioned your insecurities, because we all have them.
Right.
And it's amazing they come at a time where there's opportunity.
There you go.
And sometimes when you are faced with a great opportunity. You don't really know how great it is because sometimes your insecurities are screaming so loud that if you listen to them, you won't take it. You won't do it.
Yeah,
so you had to like jump over insecurities, fears,
all the things.
because when I saw the different clips, I was so happy. I was like, this is you. This is you.
Right.
I would not know that you were having, like you had these insecurities or, it's kind of rough during the pandemic, but I'm glad you did because I believe it's another platform for you.
Right.
And God knows what he's doing.
He does. He absolutely does. And that's why I was like, honey, let me just talk myself off the ledge and do it. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes, just like you said, these opportunities come up, these things, and then we're like, no. And then it's like later on, like, are you kidding? You missed that opportunity? You never know where it will lead, So.
Yeah, because I believe it's a lot more for you in the future. I definitely, like you were saying earlier about people watching you. And they're like, even young people, younger from teenagers to young adults and adults, we're watching. And like you're saying, they're wanting to do the same thing you're doing. And they have this desire about food. They love food. They love to cook. They love all of that. And sometimes the insecurities get the best of so many of us that we don't take the first step. We don't take the first leap. And hopefully by watching this show, that it will encourage others to step out, go to school for it. If you kind of have a strong desire to cook, go to school for it and learn more, learn techniques. And actually, what would you say to them if they're watching and they have a strong desire to go in that field in cooking? And
well, I would definitely say, there's many routes to being in this field. Like, you don't have to go to culinary school if you don't want to. You can be an apprentice at a restaurant, which is really the route I wish I had gone. There's plenty of people, like, look on YouTube, they bake and they cook, and they've not had a lick of school. You know what I'm saying? Wow. But they have that natural talent, that natural ability, and they have millions of followers. Like, it's crazy. Like, especially with social media, there's no limits. There's no limits. Like, step out there, just do it. I was giving my daughter even an example today of how she could start a YouTube, because she has this idea about doing mocktails. And I'm like, if that's something you really want to do, like, those kind of things, you don't even have to show your face, just show what you're doing and what you're creating. Like, I'm telling you, people love that kind of content, and you don't know the doors that it'll open for you later on. Like, it's no limits. Like, just be creative. Just step out. Like, whatever way. If you want to go to school, go that route. If you want to just work in a restaurant and work your way up, go that route. Like, there's so many things, but just like with social media, there's no limits.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And you're right. You're saying there's so many different ways. You don't necessarily have to go to school for it to learn the technique. So that's good that you said that. They don't necessarily have to go to school to learn that. What are some tips you can give for those who want to start a business, whether that's in cooking or something different?
Yeah, so my first thing is just do some research, but don't stay in research. Like, I have even, like, over the years found myself like, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to take this course and buy this thing and follow this person and go on this webinar and girl, 6 months later, I'm still buying this course and doing, it's like, come on, when are you going to step out and do it? My thing is, okay, so when I first started, not when I first started, when I really took off, especially with my cookies, because I was doing a lot of things before the cookies, but when I started the cookies, what I really found that helped me was to get on Facebook. Like, Facebook has amazing groups on there, okay? Mm-hmm. Become a vendor. Get out there and show people your product. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is. And I'll tell you, Etsy has been, oh my gosh. When I first went, this is the first time I think, was that the first time I went? I think that was the first time I went to be a vendor at an event, and it was with an Etsy, with Etsy. Wow. Etsy, I believe they have like groups in probably every city, and they hold events where you can be a vendor. Girl, I was just not even ready. Like, but this is the first time people that I didn't know were tasting my cookies, you know, and I was kind of, you know, because sometimes you feel like people that know you, they just love you and they're going to be like supporting, you know what I'm saying? Right. But when you're a vendor, you get to talk to people who don't know you from Adam, you know what I'm saying? And they're going to tell you, like, you can tell if they like your stuff or if it's not good and you need to go back to the drawing board, you know? And that was really the first time I got really good feedback. And I'm telling you, those kind of events, if you pick the right ones, can really bring you business for the long term. I have had customers since like my first event that literally come to me, that order from me all the time, order from me for gifts and for the holidays and everything. And you can really build a good customer base by doing that. So I would really say just research, do things with excellence. That's been my thing over the years. And I feel like that's why people come back. They come back and they patronize. If you don't have return customers in your business, there's a problem. Okay. So you want to have return customers, because if people ain't coming back, well, something's wrong. So you want to make sure that you do research, do everything you do in excellence. I literally, with my packaging even, wow, you know, you have to start somewhere, right? Yeah. So you exactly. So don't let you not like being able to package your stuff like, you know, Louis Vuitton stop you from doing your business. Start where you are, do the best at where you are, and then level up, keep leveling up. You know what I'm saying? As time goes, as you build your business and as you bring in more revenue, you know, level your things up, but don't let that stop you. Just go ahead and get started. That is my main thing. Just start. And I don't care if you have to sell your first thing to your mom, do it. You know what I'm saying? Like my parents and my family and everything, they have been so supportive, and they buy my stuff, and, you know, and I always have them like, tell me if you like it. Tell me the truth. Tell me if you know what I'm saying? Like, make sure that you have people in your life that will tell you the truth about your product, whatever it is, and will be truthful with you, so that, and that kind of constructive criticism helps, because you can go back and you can tweak things and make it better. But honey, my biggest advice is just to get started. Don't stay in the research mode. Do some research, do what you need to do, but just get started. And that's where you'll get more of the experience and more of, you know, you'll get more of the direction that you need to take your business.
And you know what? And God would, like you said, God give you those dreams. God will lead you if you trust him. And you know, as we getting ready to wrap up, you know, when you had mentioned your dream, and I think I shared, you know, I'm a dreamer as well too. But I like when I did this podcast, now a year ago, I wanted to do a podcast, but the way I envisioned it was not like bringing guests on. It was me talking about different topics that matters to me. But this year, by me introducing my new book had came out. So I wanted to interview 3 ladies that I felt like was very extraordinary, that kind of reminded me of the character that was in the book, or some of the situations that was in the book. The character is like a businesswoman. She started her own business and all this great things. So I wanted to highlight some of those qualities and then kind of just interview the women. But it kept going. And like God kept saying, no, I'm thinking like, okay, so this is going to be a podcast. I'm going to continue to do this. He's like, yeah. Because at first I was like, okay, I did the 3 ladies. I'm going to stop, but I couldn't stop. Wow. And I kept hearing God say, create a platform that you would love to be invited on. Create something where you don't have to be ashamed to talk about God. Yes. I had a lady invited me to a podcast. She loved my testimony story, and she inboxed me and she said, but the only thing, you know, and she had a very large following. And she said, the only thing, can you not say Jesus a lot? Because I don't want you to offend anybody else. So I told her, I don't know how not to say God. Right. I don't know how. I didn't want to, you know, be rude and not respect her platform, because I just can't be on it. If I can't talk about God, I don't care what platform. I don't care if people reach out to me and it's on a large scale. If I can't say what God has done to me, this is not the season to fall back, especially as believers. That's right. This is the season where God will open big doors, mainstream, and you don't have to sell out. That's right. You can tell your story. You can talk about how that was God that did this. That was God, the God I serve. And it encouraged other people to even become Christians sometimes, because sometimes they think you have to do one thing. You could be called to the entertainment. I know, people that are actors that are doing things right now in Hollywood, and they are believers. They love God, and they're not afraid to kind of share it. And God said, hey, it's okay. So create a platform that no matter who is coming to your podcast, that they're able to talk about their faith at the same time and able to give me glory that I've done this for them, that I'm taking them on this journey. So when you said that about your dream, I'm happy that you were talking about God.
And I love that.
You have anything that you want to say before we wrap up to the audience or anyone that might come across this podcast?
Well, I just want to say, like, just use Danuelle as a guide here. Like, just step out, do what you're called to do. I think this is absolutely amazing. Honey, that's just my motto in life. Just step out and do it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times we want to talk about what we want to do. No, stop talking about it and just do it,
Like Nike, right?
Right, like Nike. Yes, and just be encouraged. Like, my journey has taken some turns. I started off doing one thing, now I'm doing another, and I just keep evolving. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. A lot of times, even as creatives, we come up with so many things like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do this. Just start with one thing. Start with one thing first, and then move to the next thing once you feel like you've, done well, or either this is not working or whatever, and then move to something else. Sometimes we're so scattered and we try to do everything at once, and then, what is that, a jack of all trade?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that. But just be encouraged and step out and do what God has called you to do. Do those things that are on your heart. Don't leave this earth without having fulfilled everything that God has called you to do. That's what I want to encourage somebody to do.
Thank you so much. I'd love to have you back one day where we can talk about, because I know that this is just the beginning. I know there's some more things for you. I can't wait. I just can't wait. I see more things happening for you. Maybe more in film, right? Maybe.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
You never know.
You never know. You never know what's coming up.
Make sure you give me all of the websites. Say that your website one more time.
So it's browngirlscook.com. And that's Brown Girls Cook is a community that I'm building right now for melanated women who love all things culinary. So if you love to cook, you love to eat, whatever it is, like, go to browngirlscook.com. You can also find us on Instagram. We have a Facebook page, but we're building it right now. We just want, I feel like women of color just don't get the recognition that we get our things stolen a lot, but we don't get the recognition. And so I am here to change that. That's what I want to do. I want to change that for us.
That sounds great. I love that you hit on that too, because I believe there's a new season where God is raising up so many women of color doing some amazing things. Yes. And we are networking with each other and we are building with each other. And it's awesome. I can't wait, like I said, to go to your website myself and get that sweet potato pie mix. I will be one of the ones that use it.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm not ashamed about it either.
That's right, girl.
And also, one more thing before we go, your cookbook.
Yes. And actually, I have it right here. So my cookbook, I wrote this, self-published it. It's called Let's Say Grace. And I'm super proud of it. You can get it on digital format on browngirlscook.com. And it's like over 50 recipes in there, like really good ones. And yeah, just proud of that. That was something I really wanted to do for a very long time. Just kept talking about it and being busy doing other things. So once the pandemic hit, I'm like, I really have no excuse because I'm at home.
Amazing though. I love the book. I'm definitely going to get that book. I was so excited when you shared it with me in your bio, and I was like, I'm going to get her book.
Thank
Because me and
you.
my daughter was talking about recipes and we're talking about new things, and so definitely going to get your cookbook. I can't wait. When I get it, I'm definitely going to show it on my podcast. I don't care what this is, but I'm going to show you I got it. And yeah, I'm so happy that you came. I really enjoyed, talking with you and listening to you about, your journey, and I can't wait to see more things in your future and what God is going to do.
So much. I appreciate you having me. And like I said, I'm just so proud of you in this podcast.